Welcome to Vote Smart, a mathematical formula for electing true leaders. For those of you who've been voting for eons, it doesn't really seem to be a huge problem to understand the parameters for your candidate. But it struck me as I was speaking to family members who have recently received that unction and the permission as well to vote. Why? Because they're now at that voting age. And what I hear from a lot of those individuals is, how do I frame my context? How do I know who to vote for? I want to give you a few ideas, especially those of you who are new to the voting game. Who and how is going to become more apparent to you when you go through the mathematical formula for electing true leaders. You see, my mentor, John Maxwell, he always says, everything rises and falls on leadership. And it's true. Greatness in an organization, greatness in a country, it rises and falls on the leader. And that's why it is so important that we all do our due diligence and responsibility to vote responsibly. In order to vote responsibly, there's certain variables that I have crafted together into a rather interesting formula that will help you think about the choices you're making and help you guide you to your own unique vote. Everyone's vote is different. We cannot all agree on one individual. That will be so boring in life. Wouldn't it be so boring if everyone agreed on one candidate? Think about it. There has to be diversity. There's a diverse way we see the world, there's a diverse way we perceive individuals, and there's a diverse way we perceive messages and what is important and what is not important. We're all wired differently, and it's okay. And we need to respect each other's decisions. I know this is a very sensitive topic, and that's why I want us to approach it with reverence and respect. So, in the chat, please don't put anything untoward or ugly. It will be removed. Okay? So, let's jump straight into the formula. Leaders approach a lot of stuff with a leadership bias. In fact, my mentor John, he will say everything is approached by a leader with a leadership bias. And that is what spurred my thinking into, how does a person who is new to the world of voting think? So, welcome to the introduction to the electorate's decision formula, navigating personal values and candidate merits in elections. In the throes of an election, as in the climatic final moments of a race, the true mettle of candidates begins to crystallize before the electorate. Observing a runner's stamina, body language, and facial expressions, it might give a hint at the likely victor in a physical contest. However, in the democratic race, the process of selecting a leader demands a more introspective and calculated approach. Elections are not merely contests for popularity or charisma, but are founded in understanding our values and principles. It is a profound exercise in your value alignment and discernment of leadership qualities. Every voter carries a set of intrinsic values and biases. You'd agree. You have your biases, I have mine, right? Whether you acknowledge it or not. And that can significantly influence a choice at the polls. The decision to support a candidate involves a deep dive into one's value system to ensure that the choice is truly reflective of one's ethical and practical standards. This alignment is crucial. It's not just for personal congruence, but for the broader impact leadership has on an entire nation such as ours. Furthermore, the qualities of strength and substance in a candidate are indispensable. Strength here refers not just to assertiveness, but to resilience, the capacity to lead, the capability to lead through challenges with fortitude and foresight. Substance, on the other hand, is measured by the depth of a candidate's policies and their understanding of complex issues, attributes that signify a readiness to govern wisely and effectively. It sounds tough, doesn't it? Okay. Now, for those who have not yet decided, for those of you who are like, what should I do? Right? A candidate's strength and substantive understanding do not automatically guarantee an alignment with every voter's unique values. That is important to understand. The divergence is natural, reflecting the varied lenses through which we view our world. It underlines the necessity for voters to employ both introspection and objective analyses in their decision making process. When I was putting this together, I sat down and went through the now automated way I do things. I'm just wired in that automated way to know what to do and how to do it when it comes to voting for anything, whether it's voting at the grand scheme, at the country level, or voting at the company level. There's a method to how I do it. And in response to these complexities, this paper proposes a mathematical formula that is designed to help voters systematically to evaluate candidates. Again, this has a lot to do with how I see the process. And this formula integrates critical factors that I have identified, such as personal values alignment, observed strength, substantive policy depth, proven track record, and a clear, actionable plan for the future. By quantifying these elements, my friends, the formula provides a structured method to assess which candidate best aligns with the voters' expectations and ideals, ensuring a choice that is both informed and reflective of your personal principles and your personal practicalities. This approach not only streamlines the decision making process, but it also enhances the electoral experience by grounding it in a methodical, intentional assessment that transcends mere emotional appeal. You know, when I sit down with family members, they get really heated and emotional about stuff. And I'm like, I want to think with my head, not just my heart, but my head, right? I want to do both. I want to have the understanding that emotions are very, very tangible and important, but I also want the reasoning part. You could say the left and the right brain. Yes, I am both brained, if you wanted to call it that. So, for my friends who are struggling, here's a formula V. This variable is alignment with values. Values are huge. This represents how well the candidate's policies and character align with your personal values. It's a score from 0 to 10, where 10 means perfect alignment. Now, it's not always going to be perfectly aligned, but it's your opportunity to really introspect and ask the question, are we aligned? Number two, S, strength. This measures the perceived strength of the candidate, considering factors like leadership skills, decisiveness, public speaking, and on a scale of 0 to 10 as well. C, substance. This evaluates the depth of the candidate's policies, vision, and solutions to key issues. Now, I know if you just turned 18 or you were 18 last year or the year before, and this is your first rodeo, you got to do some research. That is why when you see older folks watching the TV and watching the news and listening to the radio, it is to get the acumen to be decisive and understanding and intentional in times like this. That's why you listen to current affairs. That's why you watch debates. That's why you watch television. Not because you don't have other things to do, like playing your favorite video game, but you know that this is a high stake situation. And that day is always going to come where you need to put on your voting hat. I applaud you, those of you who raised the concern with me. I hope this is going to help. Next, we have T, track record. This assesses the candidate's past performance and achievements relevant to the position they are contesting for. Again, on a scale of 0 to 10. Number 5, P for plan. This measures the clarity, feasibility, and detail of the candidate's plan for the future, scored from, again, 0 to 10. Now, here's the kicker. When all those variables are present, when you have taken the time to really introspect and score, this is where you will apply the formula. Okay. We are going to assign weights to each factor based on personal importance. Now, I have my formula, my way I've done it. For you, your formula might be slightly different. So you can say this is a customizable formula. Weight for alignment with values, weight for strength, weight for substance, track record, and weight for plan could look something like this. O, the overall score, is equal to WV. Remember what these variables are? V is all about the values. Keep the relevance in the forefront. V for values, right? So the weight of the values times the values plus the weight of strength times the strength plus the weight of C is for substance, right? Times substance plus the weight of the track record, right? Plus the weight of the plan times P. So on a scale of 0 to 10, these higher order letters, the V, the S, the C, the T, and the P, you should have scored those. And now you'll go into the next piece, which is determining the weight. You need to decide the weight based on your priorities. Here's an example of how you can weigh these things. You could weigh values as a 0.3. For example, you don't have to use my weights. Just make sure everything adds up to 1, right? Hopefully you remember this stuff from high school, right? How to get percentages that all add up to 100. So this is really 30%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 10%. Okay? The idea is that by the time you are done, you will have a very transparent, repeatable way of you deciding who takes the cake. So suppose you use my weightings. If a candidate scores in values an 8 in terms of where they are strong, let's say they score a 7 in terms of the substance, a 9, and the track record a 6, and the plan a 7, then the overall score will look like this. Overall score equals 8 times 0.3 plus 7 times 0.2, 9 times 0.2, 6 times 0.2, and 7 times 0.1, for example. And you would get 7.5. Again, you may not weigh values as much. You may weigh values less, but what you want to make sure you do is get all of these to add up to 1. Okay? So this score on a scale of 10 helps quantify how suitable the candidate is based on your criteria. You can compare scores of different candidates using this formula to make a more informed decision. Now, if you do not have context, my friend, you are in trouble. Because if you don't have context to rate and rank and score, you need to gather data. So this model assumes that you have enough data to apply thought and intentionality to your vote. Okay, so my friends, that's it. Vote smart. Personally, I think a lot of this stuff ties back to the concept of value. You should stay true to your values. And I invite you to participate, those of you who need it. Some of you don't. Some of you are, this is your 10th time you've done this. You've done this so many times. You can probably write a paper yourself on it. But for those of you who are new and who are just getting into the fun of it, whether you're 18, 19, 20, welcome to the party. Okay? I wish you all the very best. And I hope this presentation allows you to make informed, solid, calculated, intentional decisions. And when you look back, whether your candidate won or lost, at least you know that you did the due diligence. You can also apply this model to voting in college, voting in any sphere of life, voting at work, voting in any associations you're in. I hope that gave you some context and perspective. Thank you very